you have to really, make them understand that it is a requirement, especially when you're a new family and you're just getting out there on your own. You have to save, 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 and you have to budget and manage your money to, the best of your ability. Because if you don't, you be back with mom or daddy, or you be out on the street. And in this day and age and time, I can honestly say, it's a struggle out there for a lot of young families and a lot of folks, man. No job is guaranteed to you nowadays. So it is really important that you save your money, you budget wisely. I know a lot of times, ladies like to have a million purse, 100,000 pair of shoes, and matching, everything from head to toe. But it's not important to look good and live on the streets. You know what I'm saying? You have to understand what's a priority and what's not. Name brand things. It's not a must. Unfortunately, it has really sucked us in. You know, as consumers. When they advertise these things all over the place, to where you want them, buy these two and three and four, $500 outfits, but at the same time, if you're only making, 15, 16, and 17 bucks an hour, I mean, truth be told, I mean, you really can't afford that when you got mortgage and car note, insurance, and all types of other bills that comes along with that. You can't afford to go out and buy those expensive things. So once again, you have to be mindful of these things because paying bills is definitely a very important requirement when you're in a relationship and you have a family and kids to take care of. Because when time get hard or that unexpected bill come out of nowhere, you want to be able to, accommodate for that. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't plan for that emergency, bill that comes out of nowhere, it's gonna really set you back. You know, so definitely take your time when you're out there spending money. Be very mindful that it's important to save some money and everything.
I agree with you definitely about that topic. It's very important while we're paying bills in our life. As an adult, that's a part of responsibility, especially once you not move out of mom's house and out of parents' house, and now you're head of the house and you are responsible as an adult. Make sure that the bills are covered. So, but it's also a good side of that because you get to have your independence and do the things and operate how you would like to operate, and for you to continue in that independence and leadership and leading. You want to make sure that your bills are paid and that those things are definitely taken care of with a high priority. You want to, like you said, it doesn't matter all about clothes or looking good. That is your priority, is to pay your bills, and that should be your high priority. Rent, light, water, at least the basic necessities that we have, to make sure that we're managing that, at least that, managing that in a nicely order. And even as time goes on and things progress, and who's going to cover what bill or who's going to cover what, that's what we definitely should have more topics about, more in our conversation. Who's going to be covering this? Just being responsible adults, and as time progress, even can get better at it. Even look into some like things like people who help with financial and can help you with financial freedom, and just even get lucrative and things of that nature. But it's definitely good to handle basic responsibilities that comes first, and making sure that your bills are being paid, and structuring yourself even when you're having a family and with two people in the house. That could definitely should be a better situation. It would be better with two people managing together financially into paying your bills. So I agree, it's very important in your leadership and role as adults.
Oh yeah, most definitely, and it should make the responsibility a lot lighter versus being a single parent. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I'm sure all you parents out there can agree to that. That it's very hard on you, young ladies and even some men that are single parents. It can be a struggle. When you have kids involved, especially multiple kids. And you have the rent and mortgage and light bills and insurance and car and all that good stuff and food bills as well.
Hmm.
So so it's definitely important to understand that paying those bills is a very important requirement when you're in this relationship, and you have to be wise about what you're doing and how you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can also cut back some of those expenses. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's cable,
Hmm.
cutting those lights and things off, unplugging
Yes.
things that you're not using on a regular basis.
Get a
Um,
Cody box, cut that
yeah,
cable bill.
yeah, definitely. I mean, there are things you can do to really adjust the
Hmm.
bills. You know what I'm saying? You don't always have to have the AC running full blast all day, every day.
Okay. Cut it off when you're not using it.
Exactly, especially when you're not home. The house don't have to stay cool because nobody's there to, to enjoy it. So turn it off.
Hmm.
Same thing with the heat during the winter. You don't have to have those things blasting all day and nobody's home. I know sometimes we want to come home to a nice cool house or a nice hot house, depending on the time of the season. But at the end of the day, you got to think about how much money you're actually,
Spend. Hmm.
spending and giving away,
Exactly.
you know.
You want to be financially smart.
Exactly, especially when you're young and just starting out. Now a lot of you veterans that's been in a relationship for a long time, you probably got it down pack, or maybe some things you don't know, but hopefully, something you
Right.
can use out of this, this little segment right here. But I'm telling you, it is very important to really, really manage that money because nowadays, times and things are getting expensive and hard. You know,
Hmm.
I mean, it's not like back in the days. I mean, you can buy a loaf of bread for a nickel. you
Right.
know, I mean, a loaf of bread is like what, $5 or something now. It's not as cheap as it used to be. So it's very important to try to budget that penny very wisely. Nothing wrong with looking nice and
Hmm.
doing things and spending that time together, but you also have to be mindful of how you're spending your money, even eating out. A lot of times
Yes.
everybody want to be wine and dine, and I want to go to a
Okay.
fancy restaurant and eat shrimp and lobster and steak, but shrimp and lobster steak can be very expensive. You know,
Hmm. Save
those
those for special moments or sometimes
exactly.
it's a time place for everything.
Yes, very much so.
So yes, definitely important to be on the same page in a relationship, even with paying your bills.
hmm And even some of the you know, hairdo and things like that. This is probably more for ladies, and I know you like young ladies like to look cute and all that good stuff. But some of the cost for hairstyle that I have heard, and I'm gonna tell you something, it is over the top. When you're spending two and three and $400 for a hairdo, something's wrong. Something is wrong. I mean that is for people who got millions of dollars in the bank that can afford to throw away
Okay.
$400 and $300, $200 for a hairdo. I'm sorry, you got to go back to the old days when, do your hair yourself or you have your sister or your girlfriend do your hair. But when you're out there spending, that kind of money just for one hairdo that may last a month or two if you're lucky, that's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Once again, you have to understand that you have to pay bills. So you got to be very responsible and mindful of when you're spending that kind of money on just one hairdo when you could have been putting that in a savings account,
Hmm.
or even paying a bill maybe up a month or two, just doesn't make very good sense, when you're in that relationship. Like I said, you have kids and a wife or husband, so definitely be mindful of that.
Especially with savings accounts and things with the kids and teaching them financial freedom and also because they're learning from you. So you want to
hmm
also show them the way to be financially smart and how they're going to eventually take over what you're going to be doing eventually at some point in time.
Yeah.
So it's that whole ordeal just in a house is being a parent and a family together as one, paying your bills and being financially smart.
Right. Um, Cleaning is a requirement when you're in a relationship and living together also. Um, I know a lot of times, you don't understand how important that is as well. You got to keep in mind that you set the example for your kids. What they see you do, they do. It's the old saying, the apple don't fall too far from the tree. So, these kids learn from you. You set the example, you set the tone. If you teach them how to clean up behind themselves, they'll grow up doing just that. Unfortunately, I've seen some houses and been in some houses, and, these guys are married with kids and everything. And the house is just so disgusting. I can't believe people live in there. and they just as comfortable as can be. But when your house is infested with roaches, when your house got clothes meeting you from the front door to every single room, they're just throwing over the floor. That's just not good cleanliness. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, and for the most part, you can run around saying, well, hey, I want a man, I want respect. I said, first of all, you got to learn how to clean your house. You got to learn how to be neat. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just common sense. It just doesn't make sense to just have clothes and stuff just laid all over the floor like nobody cares or nobody lives here. You know, I mean, you have to clean. Washing the clothes. Dishes. Doing the laundry. I mean, it
House
just doesn't
duties.
make sense. Dusting. Vacuuming. You know what I'm saying? These are requirements, man. Nobody should have to come home to a nasty, filthy house. And you can't sit here and say, well, God, I want a house of my own, or I want to move out into my own, but then you can't even keep
Come on now.
the one that you have clean and neat to even show the appreciation of what you got.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And that could be very stressful on a relationship or marriage, because one person may be clean and the other one might be nasty. You know what I'm saying?
And
That's not
sometimes it happens like that.
exactly. And that's not going to be a very good mixture. You know what I'm saying? When you have someone that's clean and the other person that's just nice nasty, that's just not going to work. Because you're setting bad examples for these kids. You know what I'm saying? And this is how you break the cycle, where you have to stop this from being, a continuous cycle where, it just passes down from generation to generation.
Right.
You know, you have to stop it, man, because it just doesn't make sense.
Yes, and we are talking about topics, things that we want to break, bad habits that we want to break, and cleaning definitely a requirement when you're in a relationship together. I look at it as definitely like a respectitude for being clean. You want to, like they say, cleanliness is next to godliness, or whatever, how they always say. So you want to definitely make sure that you are being clean, cleaning up after yourself. After you've did something, go back and clean it up. It also just shows a sign of respect. Just definitely being responsible after the mess you've made, things you've done. Just definitely being, as organized can be. Some things, no one is necessarily perfect, but definitely have at least a respectable order about yourself, and be respectable in a manner, and respect the people around you, like you said. And that's a very important factor when you're in a relationship with someone. But it also deals with an attitude, a mind of respect. You got to have that understanding to make sure to know, hey, come on now, look at this. That isn't cool, or this isn't fine. And I shouldn't have to tell you that. You should already know, or want to know, that this isn't okay. Who would want, you can't live like that. In actuality, it just shows your mind. It reflects off your mind. Like, you can't possibly think or live good with things cluttered all around you, and just a whole ordeal, a mess. Like, it even affects your train of thoughts and things of that sort. So we want to definitely be operating in a good, clean area.
And I'll tell you another thing too. The kitchen should be a very clean area. Your bathroom, toilet, and your bathtub definitely should be clean, because you don't want to sit on, no toilet that's got, rings around it. You definitely don't want to get in no bathtub that's got rings around it. You know what I'm saying? So it's very important to understand is that those things need to be clean, okay? You're in a relationship, or you want to get in a relationship. So you have to keep in mind, don't go clean it when somebody coming over. Keep it
No.
clean 24/7. You know what I'm saying? That way it's a natural thing that you do, and it's always clean, and you don't have to worry about it when company comes over, you know?
And even looking out for those housekeepers. I heard nowadays, with just business popping all over the place, you even got now where you can get things like housekeepers and stuff like that to help clean the area. If
Yeah.
you're constantly working, or your business are taking
Right.
care of things, and you don't really have time to clean the way you would like or want to, or even when you got a certain day off just to clean, like a Saturday or a Sunday, you're cleaning and all of those things.
Right. Yeah, it definitely helps. Um, and moving right along, cooking is another requirement in relationship. Learn how to cook. Yeah, I'm saying, yeah, I said it. Learn how to cook. It just does not make sense nowadays for, anybody to run
Meals too.
around and say, I don't know how to cook. You know what I'm saying? And I feel you on that, Erica. Men too. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm not discriminating. You're right. Men need to learn how to cook too. It's a responsibility and it's a requirement because if the wife's working late, hey, he should know how to
Exactly.
get in the
Pick
kitchen
up.
and
Hmm.
pick up the slack. But
Be a
it,
team player.
it's yeah, and it's been the norm and known for most women to be in the kitchen more so than men. So we have cookbooks all over the place, recipes
Hmm.
online, everywhere. It's no excuse why you can't find out how to cook something or what the ingredients to go into it. You know, it's expensive when you eat out, you know, so you have to be very mindful that when you're eating out all the time, pizza, a hot dog, and Taco Bell and all the stuff that you go out and eat, it adds up. And when you're spending and buying, dinner or lunch or something for three or four, family members, I mean, you figure, man, it's going to really, really, hit the bank account very hard every month when you're not cooking, and I don't know what it is why people don't like to cook. I mean, you have to eat. That's almost like saying I don't want to work, but then how you going to survive?
Hmm.
It's a requirement. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's a part of the discussion. It's not something that you just choose to not want to do. You know what I'm saying? You may not like it, but you have to do it. The same thing with going to work. We all may not like our job, but we know why we got to go to work, right? Because we got to make money to sustain a certain lifestyle, to not be homeless and to, be able to, afford things that we need and to pay our bills. So it's kind of the same thing when it comes down to cooking. You know what I'm saying? And you're in that relationship. It is a requirement that you learn how to do this. You know what I'm saying? Don't make excuses. You know what I'm saying? Because we're good at that too. Well, I just don't feel like it. Well, I just don't have time. It's one of the biggest problems we have nowadays. We don't have time for the important things, but we make time for the unnecessary things. You see? And then when your relationship, your marriage is gone, and you sit down, you start reflecting back on all these things that you didn't do, this is the time that you need to reflect on it now while you have time to correct it. You see?
Yes, and like you said, I like how you related that with the cooking and the requirements. We definitely got to add it into our agenda. We got to add it into our plans for our day to day basis, things that we do. Add the cooking in there instead of all these other things. Make sure we're using our time wisely. Make sure we're operating the way that we're operating and utilizing our time. If take the meat out early, if you know you got to cook, and
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and start planning your days ahead, things that you're going to cook, certain things. It's all about being a masters of ourselves and masters of our time. And like you said, cooking is a requirement. Why? Because you got to eat.
Exactly.
When that time comes, don't look like, oh, what time it is? Oh, now it's time to eat and inspect the food just to drop out of there.
Magically, yeah, just magically cook. You know what I'm saying? I
Yes.
mean, we have crock pots, okay, and you can pre-season, like she said, you can pre-season a day ahead, prepare. You know what I'm saying? And I know there's young ladies out here right now that's married and in relationships, and they do just this. You know what I'm saying? They do that. They prepare meals
Hmm.
for the whole week. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it's no excuse. If one can do it, we all can do it. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? If you want your marriage and your relationship to sustain, you got to get on the ball and do these things. Stop being so prideful and stop worrying about what mama or the girlfriend or your friends are going to say and
Okay.
just handle your business. Because at the end of the day, you got to lay by that person. At the end of the day, that person makes you happy and you don't want to be miserable and unhappy. So use common sense. What's important? Your friends or your husband or your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend?
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because they are the ones that should matter, and whether you got little ones, they are the ones that should matter. Nothing else, man.
Exactly.
So take care of responsibility, man.
And it's actually attractive if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely when someone has some food cook or something on the stove, that is attractive. Like a lot of guys, like they say, food is the way to someone's heart, a man's heart or whatever, like, or a woman who can cook, like that is attractive. That's basically what I'm saying. That is fully desired. How many people who always walking around here hungry or looking for something to eat, and when you go to places or go to people's home or wherever, you're like, what you got to eat, or what's going on, like, because a
Exactly.
lot of people be hungry. You be like,
So
yeah, you ain't cooked nothing again, or
I
you
know,
ain't got
right?
nothing to eat again,
So
man. Come on,
nothing.
like, come on, like, what's going on, man? Like, come on,
Oh
because we,
yeah.
we got to be, or together, making sure we got something on the stove or something is rolling. People like that, like those things.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
that says something about people. So